Hi, I'm Mad,
And I'm Joe.
and we are the creators of Arcanus London branch, available now on Webtoon and Tapas. What are we talking about today, Joe?
Yeah, so we are going to be talking about one of the characters, the first of my characters that we introduced in the first couple of chapters, and that is Aine Hadley, the chief librarian of the Idrian Arcanus London branch.
Yeah. What you see right now on screen is the promo headshot that we are going to post, or have posted, on Twitter, Instagram, and wherever else our art will go. My art and Joe's words.
Yes, socials. We'll have details later, but it's fairly easy. You can figure it out. You're smart people. I trust you.
So who is Aine?
Aine is a Dullahan, which we'll talk a little bit about, but being a part of the Arcanus, she is specifically involved with the library and certain artifacts under her protection. She is, despite everything, very nice, very patient, and kind of keying a lot into like the fact that she is very spooky just by her very nature, but is just so nice.
Okay, we're not questioning that she's nice. It's just Ash's point of view. Okay?
We'll get to that. Yeah, she has a horse called Cabra, which in Gaelic means chariot rider. Just a neat little thing for me.
We never got the horse's name before, but then again, we never asked.
Correct. So yeah, I think we could talk a little bit about like what a chief librarian does, because I feel like some of it is very much as you would expect. They maintain the library. Something that is also involved in their job is there are certain artifacts that are the most protected within the Arcanus that are also hidden in the library that Aine is the warden of, which is why the job of a librarian needs to be intelligent and kind of have a good memory for everything that's in there, as well as being able to murder stuff should anything happen, which a Dullahan is perfect for. Dullahans, of course, being the sort of headless in mythology itself, and I'll talk a little bit about the divergences for Arcanus. But in like the mythology of Dullahans, they are evil spectres of a pagan god involved in human sacrifices that roam the countryside looking for specific victims to murder. Sources kind of differ on like why they do this, whether it's sort of vindictive, whether it's punishment, that sort of thing. Like a lot of the aesthetics around it are fairly well maintained. It is a black rider on a black horse, or sometimes a coach, that involves the bones of humans as tools of terror. So there's like skulls with candles in them to light the way. Their main weapon is usually like a spinal cord that they whip around and drag people to wherever afterlife they're going, and it is said that with intent, if they say your name, you will die on the spot. Specifically for the sort of divergences, Dullahans are, in lore, are kind of all male. We talked a little bit about this in our sort of intro to Arcanus, though. I'm kind of smashing some gender roles together because, like, of course, in the olden times, like, there'd be specific, like, gender-locked jobs, that sort of thing. I'm kind of throwing all that out, and there's this sort of look of the head that they carry being like rotting and constantly grinning.
Oh, Aine's cute.
Yeah, Aine's so cute. I'm kind of chalking that up to like, you know, if anyone saw like a horrifying headless rider, like their sort of fear-stricken brains would invent more ways to make that terrifying. And I guess the other thing is like I'm kind of taking the stance that like any creature that like ferries people off to the afterlife, we have a very different relationship to that than other cultures. Like a lot of kind of older cultures saw that as very much a sort of peaceful process, whereas like slightly more modern, slightly more European sensibilities of like dying is the worst thing that could possibly happen, so we staple like an element of evil onto those who govern the afterlives. So I'm just kind of taking the approach of like, you know, sometimes people need to die, and that's, you know, just a fact of life.
Yeah. And the rest of the time, Aine's a librarian.
Who could murder you immediately.
Yeah.
we talked a little bit about this during the live stream that we did, but like Aine is one of the more newest arrivals to like the core Arcanus cast, because I couldn't use an idea that I already had. A couple of things kind of keyed me into this. One of the things about the London branch of the Arcanus is the library assistant recently went missing, so that chief librarian had to juggle even more responsibilities. And once I keyed onto that idea, I was like, what if she has to juggle something else? Like a head.
I love that you went from the thing that you couldn't use to, yes, now she also has to juggle a head on top of doing all this other work. But she makes it work because she's a working woman.
Yeah, she's an absolute star.
Yeah.
The other kind of core inspiration, and I've used this for a lot of the librarians, is that the person who has to work in the library has to be like old so that they have a full scope of history. Also, they have to be slightly terrifying because they have to defend the place. So one of the core inspirations I've used for a lot of like the librarians and some of like the older members of the Arcanuses is the sort of like over the garden wall effect that is things seem inherently creepy, but they're just generally helpful.
And Aine is quite helpful. Ash wouldn't know that, but she is. I guarantee it.
Maybe we'll see that one day.
One day.
And then yeah, I guess like the big elephant in the room when I'm talking about female Dullahans is Celti from Durarara, which, you know, that helped.
Yeah. It also helped Ash. Spoiler alert, Ash is a weeb. I don't know if you could tell this from the fact that she carries a katana on her back, despite being the chosen one of Artemis. I won't explain that further. I made this character years ago. Shush. No questions. No answers.
I will take no questions at this
I
time.
will take no more questions. Yeah. So let's talk about Ash's view of Aine. I think you get it pretty much in the comic right off. Ash has an unwarranted fear of Aine. And it's not just because of what you guys think. She will be explaining it later on. And I mean, wouldn't you be scared too if you went to go get a book and you found a head on the shelf? And like, oh yeah, hey, that's the librarian. That's just her being quirky. And you're like, that's not how I want to get my book. Ash knows that like nobody in the Arcanus will actually hurt her, mostly because she hasn't been hurt before. But it's just more of a, you're very unsettling, and I have to deal with enough unsettling stuff at this job, so this job that I didn't know that I had until now.
Yeah.
So, we live here now.
Yeah. It should be noted that Ash has not acquired books through the proper channels yet, so that might be why Aine is like slightly nudging of, I don't know if it's a kind of characterization you put on for the visuals, but like the idea that like Aine knows that Ash won't listen if Aine just says, hey, there's proper ways to get the books, and is just sort of inspiring that by effectively pulling spooky pranks.
Yeah, we got a lot of comments like, why would a person do that? Why would you just hide behind a book like that? Well, now you know.
There you go.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's Aine. She's wonderful. We hope to do more of these in the future, talking about the characters. Also, we don't want to get into too much of spoilery stuff because we still have 2 more episodes with her in it, and hopefully more in the future because the group has to go back to the library quite a bit in the beginning. Yeah. So let's talk about our comic. We are at episode 2 right now, which I can't believe we're doing this. Oh my god, I'm committed.
We're pretty locked in.
Yeah. And our next episode will be on the 2nd week of November, which is the 11th or 12th. 12th in British and Japan time, and 11th in America time. So I'm still working on getting the right time for the schedule. They make me use multiple time zones. So yeah, comic schedule. From now on, it shall be once a month until I can get a good enough buffer that twice a month is viable without me losing my mind.
It's very important.
Yes. You can also check us out on our social medias. We are on TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter. You can find us at Arcanus LB on all of those platforms, and Arcanus : London branch on Webtoons and Tapas.io.
Yeah. YouTube algorithms. You know the things.
Like, comment, subscribe if you like this video, if you'd like to see more of these videos from us. And yeah, tell us what you think about the comic and what do you think about Aine. We'll see you guys later.
Bye-bye.
Bye.